The Drug Trilogy Conclusion. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from longtime subscriber Dazai, where he took 900 milligrams of DXM. Here's the full report details. Alright, we got a pretty special trip report coming from the longtime homie Dazai. This is his third report he sent in after sending in a Datura story and a Diphenhydramine one. In this, he ends up using DXM, which gives him such a life-changing experience that he's left all that kind of bad usage in the past now. This report gets super intense and really disconnects strongly with his past experiences, so I do highly recommend you check them out. But I'm sure you'll enjoy this, so without further ado, let's dive right into it. Here it is, my first ever DXM report, and sort of a happy ending to my druggy trilogy. Who am I? I thought to myself. How did I get here? I look around in the room that I spend most of my time in, yet it is so foreign to me. I can hardly recognize it anymore. Just a few moments ago, I had thought I had died. Straight ahead of me is a record turntable. What is this device? I asked myself. I come to realization of the record turntable's purpose. It is a device that plays records and outputs music, I justified to myself. I hear music, but it's coming from my phone, yet I am unable to realize that. It must be coming from that contraption ahead of me, I reassure myself, despite the turntable not being powered on. At the time, these thoughts felt so natural to me, yet looking back at it now, I feel strange, I thought to myself. I came to the realization that this is not the way I, as a human being, should be feeling. My body felt strange. I felt so light and numb. I felt a moving cold sensation on the back of my head. I must be intoxicated or something. That must be it, I reassured myself. I looked at my left arm and noticed writings in Sharpie that read, DXM 900 milligrams. Aha, I thought. I must have overdosed on cough medicine. For a second, I felt like I was starting to get a hold of myself, that I was finally understanding the situation I was in. Yet it brought up more questions. Why did I overdose on cough medication? I asked myself. I then remembered my initial question. Who am I? I had no answer. More importantly, why did I find myself in a position where I needed to overdose on this medication? Music continued playing on my phone, and I was beginning to realize that the turntable in front of me was not the origin of the music. It was a small device on my desk. What is this music? I asked. It must be something I like, otherwise I wouldn't be listening to it, I justified myself. Looking back, I do not remember the exact song, but I'm pretty sure it was from the 9 Inch Nails' Year Zero album. I then started having flashes of memories come piece by piece, yet these memories didn't feel like they were mine. They felt like I was watching someone else's life. My understanding at the time, I am the person that makes up this body I am controlling. Despite this, I have lost my identity. I have no sense of who I am. I most likely need to reflect on these memories to understand why I'm here and who I am. Although, control was an overstatement. I was barely able to move. I was glued to my desk chair, forced to remain in deep thought. Who is that? I thought, as one flash of a memory involved a friend of mine, Ron. I remember flashes of good times, and some bad times. He must be a friend of mine, yet he said those hurtful things about me. This body I am in control of. I questioned as I remembered a fight I had with him a few months prior. Human friends fight sometimes. It's a part of life, right? He is my friend. He must be my friend, I justified to myself. I felt as if I put two pieces of a very large puzzle together. My mind was slowly retaking its form. As I sat there on my chair, I started to zone out. I felt as if I was in a different room, yet still in the chair. The room was empty, full of a black and white checkerboard pattern floor. I sat in my chair, in a corner. Most likely a cough medication hallucination, I justified to myself. I hear a voice. I can't put my finger on it. It sounds so familiar, yet so foreign. You chose to put yourself here, the voice shouted at me. You took an unhealthy dosage of that medication. You are the only one to blame, it continued. Who is the owner of that voice? I thought to myself. I had more flashes of memories. These memories consisted of my drug abuse in the past few months. I get it now. I'm some type of junkie, I would imagine, I thought to myself. I thought a little bit more about it and came to this conclusion. These memories are all recent. Why is it that I'm only doing these drugs as of a few months ago? I asked myself. Good, you are getting somewhere. That disembodied voice barked at me. I noticed a door in that room, and I was hearing knocks and people calling my name. Despite my name being called, I did not comprehend or hear it. I just knew it was my name, but I just couldn't hear it. I made a connection to what I was hearing. This hallucination must be representing the DPH-induced delirium psychosis I was in from one of those memories. For context, I took 40 Benadryl last week and was hallucinating people knocking on my door and calling my name. I justified to myself. At least I am aware this is a hallucination this time, I thought to myself with a smirk. That's when it hit me. I experienced that in first person, as if it was my own memory, unlike I was previously. I realized I was making progress. Take a look at this. The disembodied voice muttered at me. The next memory flash I had was of me losing my virginity, from a little over a month ago. Ah, sex, the human method for reproduction, I thought to myself. I then started to feel confused. Why was I having sex if I had no intentions on reproduction? I asked myself. My state of mind at that point was not that of a human. It was something else. I couldn't understand why two humans would have sex without intentions of procreating. It's very odd that I did that, I thought to myself. I also noticed that the me in the memories didn't seem to enjoy sex. My disconnected mind made the connection that sex is strictly for impregnation and that I didn't enjoy it because sex isn't meant to be enjoyed. It's for reproduction. In actuality, I am unsure why I didn't enjoy the sex, but this sure made things difficult for me getting a hold of my identity. Who is that girl? I asked myself. I had dozens of memories of her flash by me, each with me spending time with her and me saying her name to her. Ah, that's Leia, I justified to myself. For a second, I felt great that I was able to identify someone else in my memory. Yet this comfort was countered with another problem. What do I think of her? What does she mean to me? What do I mean to her? I asked myself these questions with no prevail. Her appearance began fading away from my fractured memories. I was starting to forget what she looked like. Who is she? What is her purpose? Did I have sex with her? Why did I have sex with her? I had no answers to these questions. In fact, my memory of her began fading further away. I stopped seeing her as a person, and more as an idea. Is she a human, or is she a mere concept I made up? I asked myself. Take a look at more of these memories. The disembodied voice yelled at me. I remember spending more time with her, but this time it was different. It was all of our fights and bad times. More importantly, the fight that ended our friendship. She was growing so distant from me. She was avoiding me for reasons I could not put together. I confronted her, and she shrugged it off like it was nothing. She was acting so cold-blooded to me, like a reptile. I was drunk, and I told her that we shouldn't be friends anymore. I didn't mean it, but I couldn't take it back. She didn't want to speak to me anymore. I fucked up. I remember this first person. Leia, I muttered. I kept repeating her name. Finally, I was starting to grasp at a memory as if it were my own. She was one of my best friends, and we casually messed around. That was what I was remembering. Now she is gone. Gone away. She's gone away. Now, I have to accept that. She didn't want to speak with me anymore. I meant nothing to her anymore, if ever. And I had to just give in and accept that. Wait a minute, I thought to myself. Sex isn't just for reproduction. It is for pleasure too. I finally started to grasp back at my humanity. Despite me never enjoying sex, I was starting to finally understand that again. Finally, I came to the biggest conclusion of why I'm here, and what put me in this situation. Drugs. I am, depressed, and turned to drugs. Almost 3 months ago, I was shortly sober. Then a friend offered me wine, and I couldn't refuse it because alcohol always numbed my pain away. Then I naturally fell into a downward spiral of psychedelics, dissociates, and even deliriums. I wanted to detach myself from reality so much, and here I was, as detached as I could possibly get. I wasn't even myself, yet I was in my own body. I started understanding myself. I was using drugs to cover up a larger problem, and I finally understood that. Now that I came to this big realization, I now had to figure out my name to return to reality. I then started hearing a bunch of nicknames that I had been called over the years. They all sounded natural to me. I felt like my name didn't matter so much, but that was just my detachment from reality speaking. "What is your name?" the disembodied voice asked. I finally recognized the voice. It was my voice. I knew my name. I shouted, "My name is..." The door in the room opened, and a light shined through, blinding me. I was back in my apartment room, in front of the record turntable. I got up, feeling very intoxicated, almost if I was drunk, but I was able to tell it was different. For the first time in my life, I truly felt human. I came to this feeling due to the fact that I felt so inhuman when I forgot who I was. Now I remembered who I am, and that I had to make big changes in my life to get better. The next day, I felt really refreshed and happy, euphoric you might say. I was experiencing the DXM afterglow. It was honestly the happiest I had ever felt in my entire life. I knew right then and there that this first DXM trip would be far from my last.